So I see your, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to start. Good day or evening or morning, depending on where you are. My name is Dan Klein. I am the currently serving president of the Information Architecture Institute, and I'm happy to welcome you to the second of two sessions of our annual global general meeting. The way that we're put in the United States as a nonprofit, we are a 501c6 board of trade. And one of the things that we need to do in order to remain in compliance with the law here in the United States is to have a annual meeting that all of the members and stakeholders can attend. So we did one earlier this week on Tuesday at noon Eastern time, and this one hoping to cast a wide enough calendar net to catch as many of you as who would like to participate as possible. So thank you all for coming. And before we get too far along, I have to thank our relentlessly helpful, steadfast sponsors. Those of you who are on the call tonight who have been to, I think, any event in our field, the people who always show up and sponsor these things that we all benefit from. Here are two of the ones that we have to thank. And firstly, I will thank Rosenfeld Media. Lou is not able to be on the call tonight, so let me just say that Lou has any number of interesting things going on right now with Rosenfeld Media. He is publishing some interesting books right now, both under in the UX book series, as well as having launched a new series with a new book by Dave Gray. And I saw on Twitter yesterday that Amazon has sold out of its initial stock of Dave Gray's new book on Rosenfeld Media. So lots of good things coming from Rosenfeld Media. They have some conferences, they've got many books, they have experts that you can hire, training that you can get to come to your organization. So if it's even possible that you've not heard of Rosenfeld Media and all the great things they can do, please check them out. And then I would like to thank equally and as ardently Jared Spool and the amazing people at User Interface Engineering. We actually have the benefit of having Jared on the call with us tonight. And I'd love to hear from Jared if his microphone is in working order. We're still kind of new at this webinar technology. Love to welcome Jared and ask him to give us an update on what is going on with UIE.
Hi, Dan. Thank you very much for having me here, and congratulations for another successful year. And I am very happy that we have the opportunity to sponsor the IAI and IA Summit and other pieces of the UX community. So it's something we love. I want to let folks know that we've got our UI 21 conference coming up, which have great speakers like Abby Covert and Dan Brown, Melissa Perry, Nathan Curtis, and Jeff Patton, Kim Goodwin, Peter Merholtz, and I'll be speaking there, and it's a fantastic event. And that'll be October 31st through November 2nd, and we're giving away a seat to somebody today. Some lucky person who is participating is going to come to that. So that's fantastic. And the other thing I want to talk about is Center UIE and Center, the new UX design school, are partnering up, and we're starting our first classes on October 17th. And we would love to have everybody who is participating in the IAI to be part of the program, either as a student or a mentor or partner company. So you can check both out, UIE.com and for UI21 and Center.com for the school. And congratulations on a successful year, and thanks for all the hard work that you and the rest of the volunteers do, Dan.
Thanks, Jared. Let me also point out both of the things that you mentioned offer specific information architecture training, right?
That's exactly right. We not only do we offer it, but we think of it as sort of the core of UX. So at Center, for example, it's one of the first classes that students learn, because we teach it before visual design and interaction design and even user research. Because if you've got good information architecture under your belt, you do well. And Abby Covert will be our first guest instructor for that course, and so we're very excited about that.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jared. And Abby Covert, having been the past president of the IA Institute, a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight when it comes to the part about the annual report for last year was under the term that she led, and so we're going to be talking about some of the really great things that Abby and the past board were able to do. But let me first introduce to you the currently serving board. On the call with us tonight, we have Samantha Raditz, who is Director of Events and Programming. If you've been to a World IA Day or that are interested in any of the events that the Institute either puts on or sponsors, she is the person to reach out to. I'd also like to introduce Rachel Hines, who is our Director of Strategic Projects. And those of you who have been supporters of the board over the many years have seen that the board's ability to deliver on the kinds of initiatives that it wants to make isn't always so good. We're an all-volunteer organization, and in spite of lots of ambition, oftentimes we fall short as a board. I've served on a prior board, and speaking from past experience, at least I can say it's not easy to work in the structure of a board. So to help that out, this new position has been imagined and created, and one of the first things that Rachel is getting us is a production system so that we can move projects through and know what status they're at and what it's going to take to get them done. We've got an army of volunteers. The hardest thing about volunteers is being able to organize them effectively. So couldn't be happier that the past board was wise enough to create this Director of Strategic Projects, and that's Rachel. We also have Judy Siegel, who was on the prior board as well. She is Director of Development. So if you are a organization that is interested in supporting the work of the Institute, or one of the many individuals actually who are some of the key contributors to keep our lights on at the Institute, Judy is in the front typically of those conversations and negotiations for sponsorship. I'd also like to introduce to you our Director of Communications, Lara Fedorov. Lara also served on the prior board, and legally, earlier I was talking about how a 501c6 in the United States needs to have an annual open meeting. We also need to have some specific roles, and one of the roles is a president, and I'm currently that. Another role is something called secretary, and because that word is loaded, we don't want to call what Lara does that, but that is her legal position, accountability on the board from a legal standpoint. She is serving the role of secretary, but her work goes far beyond that, directing communications for the Institute. Jason Hobbs, another new dedicated position on the board. You probably all know Jason and the work that he's done both as an academic and as a designer. Longtime participant in the IA Institute, has been published in the Journal of Information Architecture. He is in charge of education, and he is also heading up the mentorship program. And then lastly, and not least, this is a thank you to Natasha Kendall. She served as treasurer for since April, and in July needed to step away based on some stuff going on, as life always happens, and we're so grateful for the service that she did give to the organization during her time, and that role of treasurer is one that I have filled in the past, and I am going to fill it on an interim basis until we can appoint somebody who can take that over. So stay tuned for news about how we move forward from here with the treasurer role. And then as far as what this board has signed up to do, each of the boards of this Board of Trade has a different agenda based on the way that they're put together. And what I want to focus on and was able to lead the currently sitting board through sort of a process of deciding around it together, a simple mission and vision statement. When we look at our initiatives and opportunities, approaches to sponsors, all of that through a lens. Firstly, the mission is to promote awareness, provide support, and expand opportunity for people and organizations who are doing information architecture work. I was reading a biography of Frank Lloyd Wright not too long ago, where he railed against the American Institute of Architects and said what he wanted to join, which doesn't exist, was an American Institute for Architecture. And that's what we are for, is for people and organizations who are doing information architecture work. And our vision in that context, and again, sort of visions I believe are supposed to be a little bit beyond easy, immediate grasp. But this is the vision that a world where everybody knows that information architecture is the practice, that we're the people, that this is the practice, the field, the discipline for making the complex clear. And the sooner that we are synonymous with our name for the kinds of value we bring in the world, the better. The more we will expand opportunity, the more we can architect the information around what we do and what it's called and all that kind of good stuff. So the agenda for tonight, I'm going to hand the virtual microphone over to Lara, who will take us through the annual report from the last year. Then Samantha is going to talk with us about World Information Architecture Day, which is one of the most exciting things that we do here at the Institute. Then we have what some of you may have been attending the meeting for. We tried to use a carrot approach to attract you all to this meeting by announcing and sharing the results of our annual salary survey at these meetings. We have not made the information widely available yet. You who have attended these two meetings are hearing it first, and so Sean is going to take us through that. And then we'll talk a little bit about education and partnerships, and then we will try to get as quickly to an open floor and Q&A time. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, Lara, why don't you take us through some of the highlights of the annual report?
Okay, thank you, Dan. So the annual report is posted on the iainstitute.org website, and we just wanted to hit a few highlights from the report, but there is a lot more information if you want to go ahead and download that PDF. There's a lot more detailed information there. We did want to announce that we have 76 members, or members in 76 different countries, which is an all-time high for us. We're so thrilled about that because we are really globally focused. So any additional countries that come on board, we welcome them with open arms. We also have a renewal of existing members that is up 9%, which is fantastic. And even better, our expenses are down 41%. So all of us, for our individual focus, we went through our budgets and we looked at different creative ways to cut different costs. So everybody contributed to that. That has a lot to do with Abby's work. So we're grateful to her and her leadership to lower those expenses. Our income is $46,000 right now, and we also raised $17,000, which we're grateful to many sponsors, which obviously includes Rosenfeld Media and UIE, amongst many others. One of the things that we wanted to just celebrate today is that 130 people pledged 520 hours, which I'm sure it's many more hours at this point, to help rebuild the largest IA-centric library in the world. So if you've noticed, if you've been to the IA Institute website, you'll see that it's drastically different than the one that you've seen in the past. And so a lot of work has gone into tagging and metadata to look at the content that is most meaningful to each of you. But we needed a lot of volunteers to do that. And please, please go look at the annual report, because all of those people are listed in that report, and we're so very grateful to each and every one of them. We also have really reached a greater audience on Twitter. So right now we have more than 17,000 followers, which is fantastic. If you follow our channel, you'll see that we follow industry experts. We do our best to share meaningful content with you and also help you stay aware of the events that are coming around and really important to attend as part of this community. Also, World IA Day, 36 different locations across 24 countries. That was last year, or sorry, 2015. And so Samantha is going to talk more about that. She'll walk us through 2015, 16, and 17. And we just are amazed at the growth of World IA Day, participation, then the amazing speakers, and the content that we get is so fantastic. So thank you to everyone on the call who has either attended or volunteered, or maybe you've been a speaker. We're so grateful to all of you as well. And continue to watch the website, because we have different phases planned for this. The library is the main initiative that we're going to take on next. So that is going to be coming soon in the next year. And thank you so much. Those are highlights from the annual report. Remember, you can see the details online. And I'll hand it over to Samantha.
Great, thank you. So as Dan said, I'm the Director of Events and Programming, and we're just going to talk a little bit about World IA Day and how it's been doing for the last few years. So we'll start in 2015, since this is technically a meeting to review how everything went in 2015. So we had 36 locations, as Laura mentioned, which was up 14 from the previous year, across 24 countries, which was also an increase, and 4,000 attendees. We also raised $12,000 US in cash in financial donations for the locations, as well as tons and tons of in-kind donations, which are really great for all of the attendees. So 2016, just this last February, our theme was Information Everywhere, Architects Everywhere. We jumped up to 57 locations. Last year we had a killer team of Aaron Stratus, who was in my role last year, and also David Peter Simon, who was the global executive producer. And they did an insane amount of work to really encourage people from all over the world to get involved, and to encourage people to throw celebrations of any size, ranging from coffee house gatherings to full-on conferences. And it was really great to see all the different types of things happening all around the world simultaneously. So that was happening in 28 countries, which was an increase, and 5,000 attendees last year, which was up 1,000 from the previous year. And again, we raised $7,000 US, and we had even more in-kind donations last year than we'd had the previous year. So the exciting thing I get to announce is that in 2017, our theme will be Information Strategy and Structure. We have 65 locations signed up, which is up 8 from last year in 29 countries. And we're hoping to continue our increase of 1,000 attendees per year and see approximately 6,000 attendees around the world in this coming February of 2017.
And Samantha, remind me the date that it's on. It's in February, right?
Yeah, it's the 18th. It's a Saturday.
So mark your calendars. Thank you.
So if anyone has any questions, wants to get more information, take a look at worldiaday.org. We actually just updated it on Friday with all of the new information for 2017, and our location leaders are starting to add their information for their specific celebrations. So keep an eye out to see when an area near you is posting their information. You can also find us at World IA Day on Twitter, or also on Facebook. And if you're interested in volunteering or have any questions, please reach out to us. Me and Amy Espinoza, who is our amazing global executive producer this year, are both readily available if there's any questions, and we're always looking for volunteers at the global and local level. And one last plug, if you're interested in sponsoring World IA Day in any way, if you have an organization that feels that getting your name on World IA Day all around the world is something that you're interested, please also reach out. Just a few reasons that we encourage and hope that people will sponsor World IA Day is because it's global. As we said, we're across countries all over the world. We're drawing a lot of people, and it's increasing every year, which we're very excited about. We had 46% growth from the year prior in our attendees, and we have all kinds of people attending, from information architects to content strategists. We also have librarians, students, etc. And it's the biggest event in our industry, so it's really the place to go for information architecture and to reach people that are interested in information architecture. So with that, I will hand it off. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Dan, do we have Sean on the line? Okay, so as we, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yes, hi.
Great, how you doing, Laura?
Good, thanks.
Okay, great. So I was going to run through some of the highlights from the survey that we ran covering the year 2015 that we conducted in April and May of this year. That was a slight change from the year before, which we did closer to the beginning or the start of the year. This year it was sort of timed to coincide with U.S. tax season in April, and then leading up and closing right around the time that IA Summit occurred. So we were trying something a little bit different, which may or may not have worked, but we'll get to that in a minute. Overall, from the 2014 survey, which we did in 2015, we had the best overall response rate in the history of the survey, so we didn't want to make too many changes from that. The things we did change were basically reverting to having geodata being from the giant country dropdown and a free text for metro area. This was done because we heard some feedback from folks being uncomfortable using postal codes, and also because translating some of that data on the back end became a bigger job for the analysis than we saved up front. We also changed the gender question into a free text response, and this was to allow people to express themselves in the way they felt most comfortable and not to feel constrained by any categories. For the most part, this was very successful. We had some very positive feedback about making that change, with only one overwhelmingly negative comment. So I think we should take that as a win, and I feel pretty good about having people feel more comfortable in that avenue. And then another slight change this year was, since the survey went out later, the call to action for completing the survey was included with the annual report when it was announced, and also continuing on social media. This may have varied it a little bit, but it's something we can tweak in the future. By and large, we had 350 responses this year, with about 53 were incomplete. The incomplete ratio just stands about the same as the previous year, but the response rate dropped fairly significantly, about 46%. So I think some of the timing should be adjusted again. If we can go to the next one. We heard from 33 countries this year, which is down slightly, but the percentage of non-US responses is actually up, which is interesting. Overall, we're still getting slightly above representation from the US based on membership roles that we have. I think we have to break down and look at some of our wider contacts and see if it correlates more closely to that, or how we can drive a little more non-US participation to get a more accurate portrayal. This year, the age range and experience levels also trended a little bit younger and less experienced than in previous years. So the most widely represented group in age was 31 to 35. Overall, more than half were between 31 and 45. For the gender split, was 46 and 53%, which is fairly close. And then we had a few responses for non-traditional. Within education, we had overwhelmingly, this is a very educated community with about 83% of members having at least a bachelor's degree, which is pretty significant. You can see we also had master's degrees are still the most widely represented within the community. And then, as I said, the modal range for experience was in 1 to 5 years, whereas in previous years it seemed to have been slightly weighted above 5 years. Still within the position breakdown, entry level and students make up about 14%, whereas people with experience are almost half. So it's still a very experienced group overall. Within the salary data itself, we saw the modal range between 70 and 80,000. The mean, using the midpoints and including all the information we had, was 94,172. And we also asked people to provide their salary to the nearest 1,000 outside the range for a little more accuracy. We had 240 responses for that question this year, and the mean increase actually for those who answered was 99,654. We looked at the same number broken down just in the US, and you can see that 70 to 80 was still in the modal range, but there was also a second bracket that had the exact same number of responses, were 110 to 120, which is interesting. Mean using midpoints was 111,623 in the US, and to nearest 1,000 also was a little bit higher than overall in the US, or non-US at 110. So, but looking at the data overall, it looks like a decrease from the year before at 6.9%. But I think a lot of that has to do with the people who reached out this year and looking at people younger in their career or younger overall. So I don't think it's a downward trend necessarily, but something to keep an eye on. We broke down these numbers by the same demographics we looked at. So you can see that age and experience matter. People younger are making less money, people older are making more. It's not surprising, but it's interesting to see how closely it correlates and some of the breakouts there. The one area of concern is gender. It looks like the gender gap is remains. In the earliest years of the survey, it was not very noticeable, but is steadily either maintained or slightly increased year over year, and that seems to be continuing. So it's something. It's one of the reasons why we asked that question is to keep an eye on that information over time for our community, and to see if we can make recommendations or at least be mindful of that moving forward in our organizations. The other area, it's nice to see a little bit more younger people and younger in their careers getting involved. Their salaries are very low still, but hopefully we can start to drive more participation from younger people in the community, which has been sort of underrepresented in our community in the past. And I think that's all I have for this year. The full results should be up within the next couple of weeks. I'm still working on a few more things and hope to have that done and completed pretty soon. And everyone will be able to download the full report and look at things for themselves. And possibly we'll even make some of the raw data available if people want to conduct their own analyses. But we're still working on the best vehicle and platform for that. It's been a pleasure running this survey the last couple of years, and hopefully people are getting some value out of seeing the results. And with that, I'll pass it back over to Laura, I guess.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sean. You've done such an amazing job gathering all this information and dedicated countless hours to bringing this information and to be more visible for our community. And it really helps as people are trying to get a job to really see if, what the compensation is going to be and if it's in line with our industry. So it's one of our most shared documents. I'm really excited for launching it in the next couple weeks, so everybody stay tuned for that. Moving on, we're going to step into the education initiatives. Again, as Dan had mentioned, this is the first time that we've ever had an education director. We're so thankful to have Jason on board. He has done an amazing job already. He's been in the community for quite a while, so he's very familiar with the Information Architecture Institute and has served on the board before as well. So there are two main initiatives. I'm going to speak on his behalf today because he's unable to make it. But again, if you have any questions at the end, we'll include an email directly to him. But basically, there are two main approaches that we're looking at. One is to execute and improve various or current or new projects that we have in the works, and then also look for ways in which education can become an income stream for the Institute. So we really want to do a great job of forming the relationships with the IAI and also with institutions all over the world. This will be a great initiative on our behalf. It includes many different volunteers. So it doesn't go without saying that we are very thankful to everybody who is contributing to that. So right now for our current projects, as I mentioned earlier, we're overhauling the library. We have a lot of people that are contributing to that. If you're interested in volunteering, please let us know. Again, we'll let you know how to do that at the end of the meeting, but we can always use more help with that. We're also working on updating, improving our strategic use of schools teaching IA list. So if you're aware, there is a list of all the different universities and institutions that are listed on the iainstitute.org website. This is really important because we want to be able to showcase all of the institutions where you can get a solid education with the area of your personal interests and focus. We are looking to improve the mentorship program. A lot of people have had wonderful experiences with this, and they have been able to contact a mentor in their area to be able to guide them, sometimes not in their area, but basically to guide them along in their career. And it's really invaluable. So those who have a little more experience are able to volunteer and help the younger generation as they move into this industry. We also are working on the listserv project, and we ran an IA Summit student competition this year, which we'll talk about in just a second. So for planned projects, we are working on what is information architecture and making sure that content is available on the website. Many of you know there are different definitions rolling around for IA, and we just want to make it very clear, making the complex clear, like Abby Covert would say, and making that available to all of you. We'll continue to support the Journal of Information Architecture. We will assess the IA lexicon content of the website. We will also continue to look for research grants. And in addition to that, we will introduce the academic stream at the IA Summit. So there's a proposal for that. We also have renewed calls for a translation initiative for the website. We used to have a lot of people that were contributing to different languages. As we just launched our new website, we don't have this quite ready yet, but we're very excited that people are interested and wanting the different translations. So that's another call for volunteers. If you're interested in helping to translate some of the content, we would be very, very happy about that. We have education considerations to support local groups around the world. So we are definitely trying to do what we can to spread the word. At the latest IA Summit, if you attended, you might already know, if you went to poster night, we had a contest. So basically what we did is someone generously donated a ticket to the IA Summit, and we decided to run a contest. This year, the winning submission was by Emma Botcher. She was at the conference. I had the pleasure of meeting her, and she's wonderful. She was very thrilled to win this, and basically what she did is put together this user journey for what would happen before, during, and after the IA Summit. So she was this year's winner. This contest was a good success. It was our first year running it, so hopefully we can spread the word and help people get to the conference in years to come. And
Lara,
yes?
I hate to interrupt. You. This is Dan again. After our meeting the last version of this meeting on Tuesday, the anonymous donor who funded Emma's trip to the IA Summit, or at least her conference admission, said that Emma's work was so, the whole thing was so good that this donor is going to do it again for 2017. So.
Oh, that's so great. That's wonderful news.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you. That was a very good interruption. And here's a photo. This is Lou Rosenfeld over here on the left. This is one of the first-timer dinners, and Emma's there in the blue sweater. So we were very happy that she could go to the summit. So now I'm going to hand it off to Judy, and she is going to talk about partnerships. So welcome, Judy. We'll give her just a second to get on the line.
I had an email from her not too many minutes ago that she's trying to connect, so we may have to accept a technical difficulty and maybe come back around if we see that she's able to join later.
Okay, let's do that. So let's jump into strategic projects with Rachel.
And I think I'm not sure Rachel is going to be able to join us this evening, so I will cover some of the highlights from the area that she's responsible for. Yep. So she is focusing mostly on supporting the initiatives that are underway and providing the structure underneath those. And the website project was delivered on the basis of sort of that strategic planning function that she provided. And right now the library project is the thing that is underway and being plugged into a more formalized project delivery process. And if anybody on the subject of the library, so all of that content is not public, not browsable through the IAI website. If any of you need to access, if you know about something in there that you can't access, there is a way to hack the URL to get an ugly version of it. So we don't yet have, we're not projecting yet the date when we'll launch the whole thing, but article by article stuff, you can write to info@iainstitute.org and we can get some of those. And then lastly, but certainly not least, the mentorship program. It's being described, at least at the board level, as a relaunch. The membership program is pretty much a spreadsheet right now, and it's not super up to date. So even while we have active mentorships happening all the time and continue to receive requests for mentors, we are not doing any sort of active recruiting of new mentors, and we don't yet have them plugged into a system, and that's a strategic plan of its own. So the needs for the next term, she is looking for program or project management people. So not that you're a designer and you're also good at program or project management, but if that's your jam, if you know people who that's what they do, we would love to recruit a couple of those, or at least one of those. Somebody for whom it is not a side interest, but somebody who really loves it. And then we are also putting together our budget allocations for the initiatives, and we'll be, with Judy's help, reaching out to our donor community with a specific set of asks around specific initiatives. And lastly, in terms of, I can make a segue talking about budgets. The Institute right now is funded on the basis of really generous sponsors, and Rosenfeld Media and User Interface Engineering being just two of them. We have any number of people, as Laura mentioned, listed on the annual report who are helping us raise money. If you look at the details in the annual report, one of the biggest sources of income for the Institute last year was a workshop that Abby Cobert and I taught at the IA Summit. And the Summit split the proceeds of that workshop with us, and that was one of the big of cash into the Institute that year. So continuing with that pattern, actually I get on a plane on Monday to go to Amsterdam. Prior to the EuroIA conference, I'll be teaching a workshop, and this workshop costs nothing to the Institute. Thank you to frequent flyer miles that I have accumulated on Delta. So indirect thanks to Delta for making that possible. And the room and very importantly the coffee for the breaks in this workshop are all being covered by Numenta, which is a fantastic agency with offices in Bristol and London and now also in Amsterdam. So if you know anybody who is in the Netherlands or who can travel easily, who is interested in information architecture, I'm teaching a fundraising workshop on Wednesday next week prior to the fabulous EuroIA conference, the premier information architecture conference in Europe. And it's a two-part workshop. You can sign up for the morning and learn and get hands-on with some techniques that I've drawn from the work of Richard Saul Wurman. And then in the afternoon, it will be a focus on Christopher Alexander, and I will be sharing a case study from work that I'm doing to try to apply his ideas in the space that I work in as an information architect. So all proceeds go to the Institute. Every dime of this is money in the bank for the Institute. So please consider calling in sick and getting on a train if you are in Europe and helping us out going to that workshop. So that is what we have, unless I see Judith join us. So now, Laura, do you know how to turn on the attendees? We're down to, I think, 4 people who are still on this call. We are recording this, so before we turn on their microphones, I don't know if they know that they have agreed to be recorded, but can we
yes, that is a good
make them
point. Well, we can stop the recording as well and then turn on the microphone. Or
well, why don't we leave it on just for the case of, you know, to preserve this for history or what have you. But if any of the attendees are uncomfortable being recorded, but they want to talk with us, please type into the chat thingy, or there's a little question-y place, and we will take the public ones first. This is supposed to be a public meeting, and then if you don't want to be recorded, we'll turn it off and keep talking. Does that sound okay, Laura?
yes, I actually do not have the permissions to unlock the microphone for everyone. I think that might be you.
Okay, let me see if I can do that.
While we're doing that, I know Judy did not get to a chance to connect, so
I think I just muted, Laura, I think I just muted you. Oh, technology. How do I unmute you? There you go.
hi. Hello again.
Okay, there we go. So I can just click on everybody's. So there isn't, okay, everybody who's on the call, Elizabeth, Josh, Keith, Bev, all of your microphones are turned on. and thank you for joining the meeting. What can we, any questions, objections? Salutations?
Something?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for joining us. Do you guys have any questions or comments on the content that we covered?
This is Sam. I'm just remembering, I believe we had a couple questions that were sent in advance. I can't recall off the top of my head what they were, but if we can pull those up, those might be a good thing to cover as well.
Fantastic. I'll throw that over to you, Dan, if you have that readily available.
I do not. The one that we didn't answer the last time in real time was the location of the PDF on the website, and
Right.
Maybe that would be good for us to just paste that into the chat window here, just to make that easy. I'll do that now. But
Okay, great.
I don't recall retaining those questions, but I apologize if there were some.
There were some, and they were based on the education initiatives. So what we'll do is we already have this meeting posted on our website, and we can just post the Q&A on there as well, along with the presentation for whomever might have missed it. And we can list the email again in case anyone has any questions. But earlier I was just going to mention that Judy didn't have a chance to cover her slide, and so she was just looking at different partnerships. So right now we have a listing of all kinds of discounts that IAI members can take advantage of. Some of those are events, some of those are in kind, like with user testing. At World IA Day, sometimes we give away different tests, so you can use the product and try it out. So it depends on what level the partnership comes in, but what we're trying to do is determine how valuable those are to you and which ones you would use. So we're going to send out a survey later this month, and we're just going to ask your opinion to see where you would like to see different discounts and what is valuable to you. Dan, did you have anything else to add?
I do not, other than gratitude for old friends like Keith and Bev, and new friends. I don't know that I know Elizabeth and Josh, but the ability to connect with people all over the world who are interested in information architecture is it's really great, and we're very proud and pleased to be able to continue the tradition of the IA Institute. And not everybody is interested in this, but the people who are some of the weirdest and funnest people that I've ever met. So all the way back to 2002 with Lou and Christina inviting people to the Syllabar conference grounds in Monterey, California. This field has gone through many, many changes, and having some data, thanks again to Sean, and then having some people who care about it. That's a couple thousand people as active members, and or maybe 1,500. I don't know what our current up to the minute membership number is, but I continue to be amazed by what we can do. We're not all that big, but the reach that we've been able to have, both through the Institute, through membership, and especially now through World IA Day, is it's pretty fun to think about information architecture having such an impact all over the world. So thank you to everybody who shows up for stuff that's called information architecture. And thanks again to Rosenfeld Media and to the UI21 conference that is in Boston on Halloween. I heard Abby Covert is teaching a full-day IA workshop there, so please check that out if you can. She told me that she's going to be dressing as an information architect for Halloween. So be sure to check that out.
And every attendee of this meeting from today and earlier this week, your name is going to be entered into a drawing to win. Rosenfeld Media is giving away 5 books. So if you're the winner, you can choose the book of your choice and what's most interesting to you. Thank you to Rosenfeld Media. And also, Jared Spool has generously donated 1 ticket to UI21, which Jan just mentioned. So we're going to be rolling out those winners Monday. So stay tuned and see if you might win something. But thank you so much for attending as well.
So I have a question, if the Q&A can continue.
Yes, please.
Sure. So so this is Keith. Hey, everybody. Nice to hear you again. Hear your voices again. So I'll be a weird question. It's September 17th, 2020, and you're doing this same presentation. What are you going to be telling us?
I love that. Wow. 2020 is what.
4 years
not
out.
That far away, right? Yeah. No, that's when my son, my littlest one, graduates from high school.
And I will have an empty nest by then, hopefully. Yes.
I saw a little slice of the future the other day at a client, and this is a peculiar client. This client drives a Lamborghini, and they have all of the toys at the office, like every cool gadget, bro thing imaginable. And one of the things that they had was an HTC Vive headset and a room set up with the sensors so that you can go into 3D land, virtual land. And I was able to draw in space in ways that I've never done before in any kind of medium. And the ability to put information, situating information in space, I think that part of information architecture, I've got to read some of Andrea Resmini's papers that he is working on right now with another scholar named David Banyan, who are talking about blended space and how do you approach blended space from a design standpoint. And so the kinds of space that we will be addressing in our practice are going to be, there's going to be more of those than the very short number of years. I think it's going to be a leap, not a baby step into some of that sometime really soon. And so at that point, the connectedness between our practice and the people who make technology, where the practice of information architecture maybe was begun in a purposefully technology independent sort of way, I think blended space makes it even more important for information architects to understand the device modality stuff. And so I'm thinking back to Memphis in 2009 when Jesse James Garrett was asking the IA community some hard questions. He was worried about stagnation, and one of the things that he asked was, where are the vendors in the exhibition hall or whatever you call it at the conference? Where is the interest of corporations and organizations? Where's Adobe? Where are some of the people a couple of clicks away from that would indicate a broader interest and a broader relevance to this practice? And I think that in 4 years we may be talking about working at a scale of partnerships with organizations that have money and who need our help to do the situating of information in space, in these blended spaces where people live, beyond screens. I think we could be talking about levels of collaboration with corporations that we've not had in the past. That would be maybe one of the long way of getting to what is the annual meeting talking about in 2020. I think it's about how, again, based on being a board of trade, and if the vision remains, the sort of the synonymy in all of the world when you think about these problems of information in space and meaning and the structural integrity of meaning across all these different channels, who are those people? If the Internet of Things and the blending of space is occurring at a faster than logarithmic scale, then 4 years from now, it could be a holy shit, pardon my French, difference between the kinds of stuff that we're talking about today, Keith, and what information architecture will be in the middle of in 4 years.
Yeah, so that's one that I was sort of fantasizing or thinking about as well, right? So some larger corporate sponsorships where they're seeing the business value in collaborating with IAI. I was thinking again, if you allow us to dream, then it's the AIA, the professional architects, have realized that they need to change or else they will go out of business. So they've formed something like a branch that's about architecture, not about being an architect, and then we were collaborating with them, right?
Yep.
So that would be an interesting one around these blended spaces. And then the other, I was thinking that it was like Global IA Day is so successful that we have to have 2 a year because we can't squeeze it all in one day or something. So.
Well, I will throw one more thing out there, which is there is this sense that the momentum that has been built through World IA Day, that's something that needs to be capitalized on, not in the crude sort of like strip miney kind of way, but in a force multiplication and a taking opportunity as it flies way. And so some way to take the content that gets generated all over the world and to bring it together into some sort of a gathering that doesn't subvert or try to bite the stees of or try to take away the last thing the world needs is another UX conference for sure.
Right.
None of us on the currently serving board, I will speak for them, and I hope I'm not overstepping, but none of us would want to see anything to the detriment of the existing conferences that are the pillars of our conference year. And I will, list them off as at least including Interactions, the IA Summit, Euro IA, UIE. There are a couple of big ones, and but nevertheless, there seems to be something about, and so on the last meeting, somebody, I think it was maybe Christina Woodkey afterwards on Twitter, talking about the future, and I threw out there the vision of Detroit as a place to have an information architecture, a blended space, the information architecture of blended space. Detroit is in a really odd opportunity situation right now, and so I'll throw that out there too, that maybe we're talking about having that collision that you talked about, Keith, of the architects who make buildings, and as space gets blended, we've not commingled our communities in any ways that I'm aware of, that at least that bore much fruit. Mr. Werman tried it in 1976, and nobody really cared about the the architecture of information then. But it seems like Detroit might be a really good place to try to bring those worlds together.
And I'll just add also that I was previously, a few years ago, the executive director, and it's just so amazing the content that we get from so many countries and so many locations. And it is hard. Obviously, we can't absorb all that content in one day. So that, I think, is also part of the library initiative, where we can really make, you know, that content more readily available to people and share it throughout the whole year, so that we can really share some of the conversations that are taking place in different parts of the world.
Right, and there's also things like the TEDx model where you have one central one, and then you license the smaller gatherings that perhaps won't be exactly on that same day, so that you give them a little bit more freedom. But
Right?
you know, so just you're right. I was thinking, yes, definitely not another centralized conference that everybody has to be in the same place, but right at some point, if there's just way too much happening on a given day because it drives the organizers crazy, for example, right? Then we do a northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere version just from a sanity's sake or something like that, right? But again, that would be a great problem to have, is that there's too much going on for us to handle.
That's a great idea.
So that was it. I just wanted to give you guys a chance to riff on that, and let other folks are welcome to follow up too. But that was it. I knew you would enjoy doing that, Dan. So
There was you're like a ringer, I believe is what you called it. Yeah. Well, there was a Claude Shannon centenary. Claude Shannon is widely esteemed as the father of information theory, information science, and at the University of Michigan. He went to Michigan as an undergrad, so they're having a special thing this year to celebrate his 100th birthday. And there was a guy who I presented a poster where I tried to connect Peter and Lou as alums of the University of Michigan with Claude Shannon as an alum of the University of Michigan, and where Shannon turned information into meaningless data. Rosenfeld and Morville put it back together again, kind of was the theme of my poster. And so I was talking with people who were walking through the poster session at this thing, and a guy was talking with me who, what he's trying to figure out, talking about blended spaces and information architecture in dimensions that go beyond these little lit up rectangles. He's talking about the most expensive procedure to the healthcare system in the United States is total joint replacement. And that's like hips and knees and some back things. And those procedures, if they can do more of them without increasing the bad stuff of if they can have people be equally healthy but crank out more of those procedures, they can make huge, amazing amounts of profit really quickly. And so this guy was trying to use Shannon's information theory to try to figure out a way to put the medical devices into organize the devices and scalpels and tools and things that are used for those replacements, along with the gear, the parts, the artificial joints, in a system on the tray that would make it possible for the procedure to go faster, because his theory is that there's too much meaning in each of the choices that the surgeon is making, so he wants to reduce the meaning by putting them in the sequence of how they're used in doing the procedure and situating them in space. And then he was keying in on the fact that that's an information architecture problem, that's putting information in space, and if you put them in the sequence of how you use them in the procedure, that is totally different than if you put them in the sequence of these are the sharp things, these are the pokey things, these are the knee things, and what have you. So the organization of information creates new information. We know that from Mr. Wurman. And here's a guy trying to make millions of dollars out of more efficient healthcare delivery through choices of organizing things in space, and information being a big part of that choice, and the things being in space. That was pretty neat. That feels like a couple, 4 or 5 years out to me too. Healthcare as the place where IA is just like, oh, you guys, thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Well,
Well, we're
thank you.
officially over time, and
Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
I could talk about this forever. So thank you, Lara, for hosting both of these meetings and putting together the information. And thanks to our attendees. And we have recorded this, and we'll post the recording. The URL for the annual report PDF is in the little chat thingy. And any follow-ups that you'd like to have, we are available through all of the things. So thank you so much for your attendance and attention.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Good night.
Thank you.